This conference will now be recorded.
So we'll see how to create a practice environment for all of us, and then we'll see some basics like how it works for an end user, not for an admin or a developer. And then slowly tomorrow we'll discuss about some real-time project to initiate the entire sessions, and then we'll start the actual sessions. Okay. Now, how should I get a free environment? Because that is one of the questions that no one asked yesterday. I'm not sure like whether you people know aware of it or not. So basically, if I'm just showing everything on my screen, it will be a little difficult, and you need a practice session. And Salesforce is a cloud environment, right? So, like the way you are registering for your social networks, even we can register for Salesforce accounts also. How? You have to go to a URL called developer.salesforce.com and do a sign up. Let me just go back again. I just went to developer.salesforce.com and did a sign up using the green button. You can still do it using salesforce.com. So even if I go to this website, also it will allow you to do a try it. But the difference between this one and this one is, if you are registering or if you are doing a sign up using directly from the salesforce.com, then their expectation are you are buying a license. So this trial version will be there only for 30 days, which actually won't work out for us. So instead of this, we are going with developer.salesforce.com. So what happens here? So here also it will allow you to do a sign up, but it will give you a lifetime free edition. Now people can ask me, okay, Ram, what is the difference? What if I did a sign up there itself and use it for 30 days and I can use again? That is also fine, but your entire data will be lost. And the other problem, so few advantages, you can have multiple licenses and all, but here it will show you what you need to learn Salesforce. That's it. So whatever we require, that will be enough. That is there here in the developer.salesforce edition, because we just need a very little amount of space and one more extra license to learn the entire development. So that is more and more than enough, which can be generated from your developer.salesforce edition. Okay, so here there will be asking few questions like your email address, job role. Job role can be anything. You can give whether you're an architect or a manager or whatever. And company name also can be anything. And finally, your username. Your username should be in the form of an email. So it says name at your company.com, but you can give anything. But it should be in the form of an email. So once you register over here, it will send you a mail with asking for verification. The moment you are verifying, it will ask you to set the password. That is very common, like the other accounts. Once done, you will be allowed to log into Salesforce. Now, this is for sign up. So how do I log in? So next time when you're trying to log in, once you create the account, directly go with login.salesforce.com. So login.salesforce.com is a production environment in Salesforce, and for us, we will be getting a production environment directly and we'll do the changes. Now click on login. Like I already, I'm using it from quite some time, so it is populating my credentials. So I'll just go with login. The moment I log in, see, it takes me to a screen where admin can see because I'm the admin for this. Now, let us compare with the Facebook registrations or Twitter registrations with Salesforce. So the moment I registered with my Facebook or the moment that I registered with Twitter, what happens? Twitter will give me one account where I can post some information or chat with my friends, connect with my accounts. Sorry, connect with my friends, right? But in Salesforce, the moment I have registered over there or the moment I have completed the sign up, Salesforce will allow me to create a org for me, which means if you remember yesterday in that apartment slide, so I took a flat in that because which means that I'm taking a space in Salesforce. Here I can do some actions like I can create the applications or I can create some extra users also. How? I'll just show you something. I'll explain you in detail later. Actually, it is not required. So this basically comes almost at the end of the admin sessions. That time it will be more clear, but now I'll just show you. So here I have given my company name when I'm registering as SFDC. So it says organization as SFDC. And it will take the time zone based on the address that I have given. And then if I scroll down, it will show me what all the list of licenses that I can use. Which means in one org, based on the amount that you have paid to the Salesforce, they'll give you those many licenses and you can start using them based on your requirement. Okay, which means I didn't created an account for me. I have created one Salesforce org for me. Okay, now as I'm a system admin, I can see the setup screen and all. But now, if I'm an end user, what will be visible to me? The moment I'm saying that, let us say Valmiki is an end user, when he logs in, so he will be taken care to a particular application which is defaulted to his username. So how do I go? For example, now I'm a system admin. I want to go to an access an application. What should I do? I'll go to this 9 dots at the top. It's called as App Launcher, which will help you to launch all your applications that are accessible to you. So your system can have any number of applications. An admin can define any number of applications based on the licenses that you are taking. But you can see only the list of apps that are accessible. And we'll go with the standard sales application. I'll just hit this tab. Hit the app. This is how an end user looks at it. So it might be sales or it might be service or it might be marketing, community or any custom application that you have defined. Whatever you said like, okay, this person should access this record, those things will be there. Yeah, that is about app launcher. You can see any number of applications. Okay, and then now I'm on the application screen. Now coming to data, because I was speaking more about processing data yesterday, right? So if you want to process data, first of all, you need to capture data, right? To capture data, if you are going with a normal Excel sheet, for example, what you'll have rows and columns and sheets, right? Or tables basically. So a table in an Excel is, if you want to compare with Salesforce, it is nothing but object. Okay, and a column of an Excel sheet is nothing but field. Okay, when we are creating our own custom tables, sorry, custom objects, it will be more and more clear. So these are all the list of objects that are available in this sales application, and these are a couple of records that I have created. Okay, and when you are creating a Salesforce edition, when you're doing a sign up, Salesforce will give you some standard records also, just for the sake of reference. And if you want to use them, I mean, if you want to leave it as is for your learning purpose, you can leave it, or you can delete them also. That is second. Okay. Now, let us say I don't know about these things, so I now I can say I have lot many uh, uh, objects, and I don't know where my record is there, but I just know only one thing, that is my record has some name called oil. So here there is some search bar. This search bar we call it as global search. Why global search? Because when I type some keyword and click on enter button, it will search for that particular string in almost all the objects, not just almost. It will search for all the objects in my Salesforce edition for that particular string. So the moment I click on enter, see on the left side you can see the search results. On the right side, it just shows you the account, but on the right side it will show you the entire results. So everywhere that particular string is included here or there, maybe in the name of the account or maybe in the name of the opportunity, wherever, right? Which means even if I don't remember the object names and all, like if you want to search across the system, you can search it using this search bar. As it is as it helps you to search the record throughout the system, this search bar is called as global search. Okay. Next thing, for example, let us say oil and gas Singapore is my request. So I figured it out. I started working on it, and again, let's say I kept forgetting because I'm working on multiple areas. But for me, tomorrow, the moment I join the system, I have logged into the system. I want to see this, or I want to work on it again, which means that they should be on my key records. So what should I do? On the top, there is some star symbol. Click on this. That's it. This will be set as my favorites. So tomorrow, wherever I am, I'll just go to some setup screen. On whatever the page that I'm there and whatever the application, it's not, yeah. Okay, I have two records actually. That's the reason it's not showing. I'll just remove one of them so that, or yeah. So you can go with I think around 10 records as your favorites. And wherever the screen you are, you can just click on this drop down and see the record and click on it. It will open directly. Okay. So when once your job is done, you can just go there, edit your favorites and remove them if you don't want. Because you can remove everything. Okay. Now, for example, now let us say I want to create a contact record. This is my contact table. I want to create some records in my contact table or contact object. So I'll click on new button, start creating the records. But if you see here, to create this record, I have to go with fill a hell lot of fields. Okay, and these are just standard fields. The moment I start including custom fields, it will become a little bigger list also. But for example, let's say this I have given this to my sales agent, or let's say I'm working for some financial broking sector, and I'm the person who is picking up the contacts, and I don't have time to fill all these details. I just need only a few details like where I have to give the mandatory fields and some mobile number, maybe an email. So instead of going to all this, what the sales agents can do is they'll click on this plus symbol. There is something called global actions. From here also we can create the records. So if I choose this new contact, so it will ask me only the key fields that I need. Fill the fields, click on save. It will also create a record. So this is a quick action that you can do it on your contact. So we can also create some quick actions. So when I'm discussing about the quick actions features, we'll discuss like how this is created, how can we expose this on the for the end user, all these things. Okay. Next thing is about the paths, like what are the different paths you have in Salesforce, all those things, the learning paths. So if you want to pay something to Salesforce, you can pay and learn. Like you can even get these things, get the same training from Salesforce from for somewhere around $3,300 or something. So those details will be there in that. And next thing, like let us say I have an original license, like I'm a paid license or a paid customer to Salesforce. Now, for example, there was some issue in the system. Let's say it is not picking up, that email data type is not working up, or some issue is there in the system. I need a support. That is where I'll go with question mark. Here I can get the help from Salesforce. You can also try for it, but basically what happens is when you raise a case, Salesforce won't respond, won't give you any response. Why? Because these are free issues. Okay.
Hi Ram, good morning. Can you please repeat this point again, if you don't mind? Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Sushmita. Actually, can you stop that background and speak
Oh,
because I'm not able to
sorry.
understand.
Okay, sorry.
Uh, yeah. Okay. So if you want to see, if you are looking any help from Salesforce, you can go with this help document. And then the next one, which is a little key important thing, is our setup page. So the gear icon. So here we have actually it is just showing you four, but let us say when I open any record, it will show you five. And when I'm just on the service on a particular application page, let's say sales or any random application, it will just show you only four again. There is some difference when you're on the object page a lot, so those things I'll discuss in deep later. But we need first only three. What are these? First one is setup screen. So to show this actions or to define these applications or define these objects, tabs or fields and all, first thing that you have to always go with is setup screen. So this is the place where you can see the things which are behind the scenes. Okay. Now, for example, I said like app launcher is a place where I can see the list of applications that I can access in the system, right? But if I want to see what all the total number of applications that are there in the organization, as I'm a system admin, I can go to the setup screen, go to quick find. This is called a setup search. This is the place where we can search the features. For example, let's say I want to see the applications, right? I'll search for app manager. So here it is little slow. First, second, and third character will be coming only after a second or two. Like that. That is one of the standard thing that you have in Salesforce. Go to App Manager, and this is the place where you can see the list of applications that you have in the system. Okay. So if you see here the type of the application, couple of them are classic and couple of them are light. So we'll see what is classic and then we'll come back to light. This is called as a lightning screens. And Salesforce started working on the lightning from past more than 6 years, if I'm not wrong. Prior to that, we used to have classic screens. I'll show you how classic looks, then we'll come back. So there is the teddy bear symbol. Here, if you click on the switch to classic, the entire screen will be navigated to a classic screen. This is how your classic screen looks like. So it's the same thing. You will have multiple applications. Every application will have tasks, which helps you to access the objects. And this is how the list of applications will be visible, setup screen, all these things. But this is not at all required because most of the companies are not at all working on your classic features. But one common question that they'll ask you is, okay, what if I want to migrate an application from classic to lightning if the I have any classic application? So those things we'll discuss post developing an application in your system. Okay, I'll just switch to classic. Sorry, lightning again. Now, so any setup that has to be done by the developer, any like let us say if you want to create the users, create permissions, or define roles, or sharing a record, all these things will be done from your setup screen itself. And if you want to see the list of objects or list of tables that you have defined or the standard tables that are there in Salesforce, then you'll go with object manager, and you can see these are the list of objects that you have in Salesforce, and most of them are standard objects only. Because Salesforce is doing a lot of new features, and they want to try to merge with Velocity also. So by default, they'll give you a lot of objects. So it depending on the licenses, those objects can be utilized. It's not like we can use everything. Okay. Then there is another one called service setup. What is it? So If you are using a service cloud, for example, there is something called case management system. So to do all those actions, like to define all those things, we'll go with service cloud. So you'll see very less number of features if you see on the left side. Few of them are merged or similar to your sales, just normal standard setup, but few of them are little different here. One of them is omni-channel. So this helps you to distribute the cases across the team uh, with a random logic. Okay, so we'll discuss how do we define this omni-channel also when we are working on the service cloud application. This is one thing which is very important for service cloud. Okay, so that is how your setup screen works. Next thing is something called developer console. So someone asked about editors yesterday. If I'm not wrong. He said like, the question is like, okay, Ram, if I want to write connect with an editors, yes, is that working out in Salesforce? Yes, it works out. Like you can use a Visual Studio or an Eclipse, age-old Eclipse and all. So now most of the people are using Visual Studio only or IntelliPath based on their requirement. And you can even go with Developer Console, which is a standard editor of Salesforce. You don't have to install anything to use this Developer Console. So this is a place where we'll start working on the development. Most of the developers will work here itself. Okay. Why? Because I don't have to install another software for this. Now here we can create multiple features. Like I can create a components, I can create Visual Force pages, I can create Apex class triggers. I can start writing my queries, everything. For example, let us say I want to see how many list of records that are there in my account object. I'll simply say select ID, common name, um, click on execute. It will show me the list of accounts that are there in my Salesforce account. Similarly, you can do some transactions, write some automation rules also. So those things we'll see in detail later. Next thing, it says notification bar. So this one, it is pretty common feature that you have in most of the other web pages, especially on the YouTube as well. So if I get any notifications, that will be coming over here, and these are the requests that I have to approve. I think I have created some approval processes, so those things will be available everything over here. Okay, and the last one is a place where I can see my profile. Here I have multiple options. One is I can change the density from compact to comfy or comfy to compact. It depends. Like it changes my screen resolutions according to my system. And then you have something called switch to classic that you have already seen. The next thing is if I want to change a couple of details, then I'll go with my settings. This one I can do it even if I'm not a system admin. If I want to change anything like my email name, all these things, I can change it as an end user itself. Okay. Or I want to see my login history, how many times that I have logged in. I'll just go to the login history. I can see the number of logins that I have done. And one thing that you can note here is picking up the time IP address, which is very important. So if I'm showing this IP, which means that more or less my admin can figure out my address, right, based on the location, because I can see the location. Now, this is one of the common problems when people are looking for support. So this is one of the open secret. Like most of the people who are who are working from US, they'll be looking for some support, job support from India. During that time, it is very difficult from Salesforce. Why? Because it will, as it is tracking everything. If I get to know your credentials, even if your verification emails and all, I can log in from India, I can work for you. But the problem is, by any chance, if your organization is using an audit, they'll come here, they'll pick it up. Because if you see here, I can get the entire login history for the past 6 months. So I can trace everything. Okay. And then you can change the login access, all these things. And next one, this is again some key important. Now, let us say Yeshwant is my admin. Okay. And I told Yashwant created some automation at the back end. So when I say country as India, he said like, okay, if Ram selects country as India, then the city should be automatically updated with Bangalore. It's a simple automation rule that you have done. For me, somehow that is not working. For everyone, every other person in the team, it is working. But for me, somehow it's not working. I said like, okay, I'm not able to see that city field itself. Then Yashwant, instead of trying it directly, he has to log in as Ram, and he should be able to see what Ram can see, right? For that, I should allow him to access. Unless until I allow him to access, he cannot access the system, my system directly. So that is where I can provide the access. Okay. So I can define the access like this with 1 year, 1 week and all. Or let us say, even for me also, it's not, I mean, even for Yashwant also, it is not working. He tried it out. Then he figured, okay, Ram, there is an issue with Salesforce only. We have to raise a case. So I'll go to this, we'll go to that question mark. He'll raise a case with the company account. Now Salesforce team will come back and ask us like what to do. Then we'll show them the problem. Now they'll ask us, okay, we need to access your org. Again, unless until me or Yashwant provide an access to them, even Salesforce support team also can't access your system. Okay, this is what is trust that I was speaking about. Unless until you said, okay, please take my access and take the record data, they can't hack your data. Okay, so this is something which is very important. And then if you want to change your authentications or passwords, connections, all these things can also be changed. So we'll discuss about these things whenever we are into that particular concept. Okay. Any questions till now? Anyone? So these are the options that are available for the end users. Okay, I didn't even start anything about the system admin. Now let us go with a very simple sales process again, because that is where we have one good automation. That is one of the reason in the first session I'll go with sales application most of the times. Now here, so I said like we have multiple objects, right? But these are called as tabs, opportunities, leads, tasks, and all. Why? Because if you go to an Excel sheet, now let us say in one table I'll capture maybe my employee information, and where I'll say my EMP name, EMP ID, etc. etc. And in another table, I'll create a customer object, customer table. I'll say customer name, customer ID, maybe email, etc. etc. Okay, let's say this is my table, and this is some other table. I'm not much interested about giving the data inside the table, but here I'll say EMP, here I'll say customer. Let's say I have some records, A, B, C. Now, if I want to access, so now let us compare this with Salesforce. So what is this? It's a table in Excel. So we'll call them as objects in Sales. Now, to access employee table, I should click on this employee sheet. Or to access customer table or customer data, I should click on this customer sheet, right? So the sheets of Excel are called as tabs of Salesforce, which means to access the data of your object, you have to go with the tab, okay, for the end user. Now, let us go with a simple or a typical sales process in general. So I'll just go with one website called raw.io. Device diagram 9. So this is one website we prefer when you want to do a quick diagrams and sure. So let's do this. Let us say I have a product, maybe a mobile. Let's say we have started a new mobile industry and we have manufactured lots and lots of mobiles. Now we have to sell it in the market. So what should I do? Can someone tell me what are the steps that I have to follow to sell it off? First thing is people should be aware of my product, right? So I have to do something called campaigning, right? An advertisement, basically. Ads, I'll say ads. Now I have posted my ad. Then what will happen? Okay, people are aware of it, but they want to know more about my product, right? It's not like the moment Yashwant or maybe Sushmita saw the ad posted by Ram, they can't simply come and buy the mobile, right? So they'll start doing the inquiries, right? Which means they'll come to that particular store or to my organization directly. Like if they are going with a bigger deal, then they'll go with, then you'll have inquiries. We'll call them as leads. One will go with technical names, campaign. So then let us say Sushmita is working for Wipro and she is the manager who is leading a mobile team, mobile development team, and she got a very big project where she need around 50 developers, and she have to do the testing also, which means she basically needs 50 mobiles. So instead of going to a standard or very old products, if she wants to try something new, and she wants to give me an opportunity, so she just inquired about my product. So she'll be my lead. Okay. Once she says that, okay, Ram, I'm interested to buy your product, then only she'll become my customer. Correct? Before she becomes my customer, there are multiple things. Again, she'll start inquiring about the product. I'll be assigning some sales agent to her. They'll be explaining more about the product. Now there is some process, right? So this is how your typical sales process works. Correct. Now let us convert this to Salesforce. The way what Salesforce defined is, as I'm doing a business, each and every penny that I have invested in my business has to be noted down somewhere, right? So we have campaigns object where it helps you to capture the entire campaigns that you are doing in your organization. Like for example, I'm opening one of the campaign record that I created recently. So here if you see, you can define the name of the campaign, or let's create a new one. I'll name it as iPhone 12. I'll just name it as iPhone 12 and I want to make it active. And you can give any conference type of the campaign, whether it is a webinar or whether you're doing a referral program, whatever. So I'll just choose some random fields, and these fields it depends on the business to business. Like if you want to make it active, you can make it active, and if you have any dates, you can give start and end dates and how much revenue you are investing in it, what is the budget that you have allocated, and what is the actual cost. If you are doing an email campaign, what is the percentage that you are expecting, and to whom, to how many people you have sent, all these things. Okay, parent campaign, I'll discuss maybe after 4 or 5 sessions. That time I'll speak about this magnifying glass specially. So this has a special meaning. We'll discuss about it. So I simply say, the moment I save this campaign, a request is created and see the details. I have a subtabs again, one is related and the other one is details. So for every object, every record will have two tabs, two standard tabs. One is details and the other one is related. Related will show you all the list of child records that are associated with this parent record. And if this is a parent, and details, you can see all the fields that you have edited few minutes back. Now I'll just go to the other record that I have already created long back. We'll see the difference and then we'll come back. If you see this paper ad which I have created very long back, maybe 2-3 months back, you can see there are some updates on the right side. But to the record that we have created just now, everything is zero and I can't even edit them also. Even there also you can't edit. These are read-only fields. Okay. Now what happens? Salesforce gives us an opportunity where you can connect your advertisement with your inquiries. Okay, that is where I'll get to know whether this campaign is has done a great job for my organization or not, right? For example, if I'm giving posting ad and I'm, let's say I'm investing around $1,000 or $10,000 on a particular ad, and it is not generating any revenue, I'm not at all getting any inquiries for that or not getting any business. So there is no point in doing the campaign again and again, right? I should I should do something else which helps the business, right? So we need to get the reports at the end. So to generate those reports, we'll make use of this fields. Okay. Now let us say Sushmita have seen this ad somewhere in maybe a TV or wherever, maybe on based on the type of the campaign that I have done, and she came to know about my product. Now she wants to know more about the product, so she'll become my inquiry. So to capture all these inquiry informations, Salesforce uses an object called leads. So in the lead tab, we'll start creating the inquiry records. So I'll click on new button here and I'll just give very basic information. I'll say so, and then I'll just give the company name. I have already given. Let's say I'll give it as CPS. And if I scroll down, there are few fields which are mandatory and few fields like name, website, email, number of employees. If the lead gives, we can take it. If not, we can leave it. If I scroll down to the bottom completely, this is where she'll ask for the product details. Actually, we can create our own custom fields also. But if you remember yesterday's session, I told you that Salesforce has given you some standard set of applications with a market standard levels, right? And see when like the way we are going to do tomorrow. So to define an application, we need to have some real-time scenario, right? What Salesforce did is they took an example of generators, some generator-based organization, and that's the reason if you see here, it says product of interest, all these things. Okay, even if you are not there, also even if these things are not there, also we can make use of it. I just click on save. And here there is one more field which says lead status. So lead status have four options. One is open not contacted, which means basically this is the first status when a lead record is created or an inquiry record is created. And let us say if this is assigned to a particular person, in my organization to handle, that person will change the status to working contacted. And let's say if Sushmita is interested in my product, then we'll say close converted. Or if she says that okay, I'm not interested in your product at all, I want to go something else in the market, then I'll say close converted, which means that I lost this inquiry. Okay, I'll say yes. Okay, so here we have multiple tabs also, but don't worry about these too many tabs. These are very easy. We can also create our own tabs also. I'll just go with details. So here you can see all the information at the bottom. Now let us say this was assigned to a person called Ram. He started interacting with Sushmita every day. So he gave multiple options, all these things. And then before I start discussing, I just asked Sushmita how you got to know about our product. She said like, hey Ram, I have seen your ad, iPhone 12 ad or something. From there I got to know. Then what I'll do is I'll go to that campaign record and I'll say add that lead to this campaign. Sushmita is my lead. I'll say next. I'll click on submit. That's it. Now, if I refresh the screen once and just go to my details, why? Actually, it's taking some time. Just give me a minute. Yeah. See, leads in campaign. Earlier it was 0. As I have tagged that lead to this campaign, you can see the number, which means there is some relation at the back end and those numbers are coming automatically. Okay. Now, let us say Shushmita is interested. So I'll say converted, click on converted status. Now, ideally, what happens if she is interested, she's going to become my customer, right? But I now have to store Sushmita's information in the customer object where I have all my other customers. But the problem is, I'm already capturing the details of Sushmita here, and I have to do it again in another object, which is nothing but I'm having duplicate records. If it is just one or two, it is to an extent it is okay. I'm not saying that you can maintain one or two duplicates, but that is also not allowed. But if you have, let us say, think about a big volume, maybe 10,000, 50,000 records. During that time, it will become too much, right? To avoid this problem, what Salesforce did is the moment a campaign is generated, the moment you are going with converting a lead to a customer, so instead of creating a record in the customer, what we can do is we have a feature called a standard lead conversion option, where when you want to convert your lead, Salesforce will allow you to create records in three different objects. One is account, contact, and opportunity. Account, contact, and opportunity. When lead says, okay, I want to become your customer, then we'll go through this process, and this process will split this entire lead record into three different records, and this lead record will be removed from the system. Okay, but it is available as a history in your reports if you want to convert. Okay, now what are information that I'll be capturing in my, because when you are splitting, so you need to know what information that you are capturing, right? So for that, we'll go to this. See, account is nothing but customer, but why CTS is coming here? Why? Because even though Sushmita is my lead, she's not gonna pay me, right? She is buying those list of amount, those number of mobiles for her organization, which means CTS is gonna be my customer. CTS is going to pay me, so CTS will be my customer. But who is Sushmita? She is just a point of contact for this transaction in this coming from this organization. So Sushmita will be a contact. And what is the opportunity? Opportunity generally it will just go with the account name. So we you can call opportunity as a revenue generating object because entire discussions happens in the opportunity to close the deal. I'll click on convert. So basically, if you have any custom things, we can do those mappings also. I'll discuss more post when I start the sales process again. Okay. So that's it. See, three records got created: account, contact, and opportunity. Now I'll go to my account called CTS. So under CTS, few minutes back, I've told you if you remember, whenever you are creating a record, it will show you all the list of child records. For example, now I'm going with account. Why? Because here you will understand very easily. So under one company, you can have any number of contacts. Let us say I have provided a very good service to this particular transaction that I have completed with CTS. And now let us say there is another person called Damodar who is sitting somewhere in Bangalore, and he also wants to buy the products. So now he's also from CTS. Now he can't ask Susmita to be a contact. He'll also directly come to me and he'll do the transaction. That time Damodar will become my contact, right? So I can create multiple contacts. And with the same customer, as I can do multiple transactions, I can have multiple opportunities also. Okay. And if you go on the top, like once the conversion is made, then you can start capturing multiple information from the account, like what is the rating that you will give, what is there any parent account, what is the annual revenue, SSA code, shipping address, billing address, everything will be given. Okay. Then there is something which is very important is your opportunity. What is this opportunity? Here, converting a lead to a customer doesn't mean that they'll buy your product for sure. Again, you'll have multiple stages. So again, this opportunity will be assigned to a particular agent, and then you'll have multiple discussions. And then once you say, okay, this is closed, then only you can say that, okay, this transaction is complete. But till now, I didn't spoke about how do I add a product to this, right? Because here in the opportunity also it will capture some basic information only. To see the actual information about the products that I'm gonna buy, you have to add this products. But this products I'm not gonna add now because this needs a little more understanding. So we'll discuss about some custom components and all. And then when I'm speaking in detail about the standard processes, I'll come back to the sales process, same sales process. We'll see how do we add the products. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll say the amount that I need for this is I'll say 10,000 and I'll say see actual amount is 10,000 and if you see expected revenue is 1,000 only. Why? Because I'm on the prospecting stage. For example, I'll go to something else. Say it got changed 20%. So it got 2,000. I'll say okay, I have sold it off. Closed one. Closed one means I won the deal. I have closed the deal completely. So it is full 10,000. Now if I go to my iPhone 12 record, the ad and refresh the screen, you can see how many leads got generated, how many have converted to a campaign, sorry, how many got converted to your customers, what is the response, what is the value, how much, what is the value you want. Everything will be shown to you. So this will help you to generate a clear picture at the end of the day. Okay. Now this is what is the standard sales process which is given by sales. This is how an end user works. Okay. But we are not here to learn how an end user works. Right? We are here to define our own applications. So that is what we are going to do from tomorrow. So we'll discuss some custom scenario and we'll see how the process works and all. And we'll have a very basic or a simple Excel definition on that, like very simple. We'll just start with some basics, like we'll see how do we create the tables, how do we define columns inside that with another objects and fields. We'll see how do we relate them, all these things. So which means tomorrow we'll start with schema and then it is not required anymore. Once the schema is done, then we'll discuss about relations. Then we'll discuss about validations. Then we'll discuss about automations or maybe formulas. Then UI changes. And then someone were asking, okay, Ram, about how about security? So we'll discuss about security after this. And then some bulk, some automations. Like you have a lot many automation rules in Salesforce. Just this automation rule itself will take you somewhere around uh, maybe 7 to 8 sessions. And then bulk operations, like what if we have to bulk data transactions, insert a lot of data, and then we'll discuss about reports and dashboards. It's very easy to generate reports and dashboards in Salesforce. I think I forgot to discuss about sales and service. Sales, service. So in actually in the automations itself, I'll cover both sales and service. I'm just adding your note so that you can remember. And finally, if any minor concepts left over, all these minor details, something about some general information about Salesforce, how to do the deployments, what do you mean by for the people who will be leaving after the development, and what are the company information, all basics that you need. So this is what we are going to discuss every day. Okay, so we'll start with the basic schema tomorrow. I'll just save it for you on the desktop itself. Okay, so from tomorrow we'll start working on only on that Excel sheet. I mean, we'll start with that Excel sheet and we'll see how do we update this on our automate the entire Excel sheet on our Salesforce. Any questions? Anyone?
Ramesh, Ram. So
Yeah.
my expectation from this course is I just want to, clear the certification. So whatever you are covering right now will be
Hmm.
sufficient.
Yeah, good enough. Actually, more than enough for your certifications. No worry. So, I mean, I didn't mention anything about certification in this because I'm just mentioning about the course content that we are going to discuss. But your certification questions will come only from these concepts. They won't go out of the box. They will go with the same. Okay, and everywhere I mean I don't want to repeat that again and again, like we'll be having the interview question discussions or certification question discussions, but you don't feel like okay I'm specific, I won't specifically name that okay this is the certification question or this is the interview question, but I'll just give you a random questions by giving the scenarios and all, because in the certifications, right, like when you're doing the certification, basically you'll have two types. One is they'll ask you straightforward question: what is a workflow or what is a process builder? How do you, where do you write the validation loop? So you'll see the option, you have to choose the right option. But the other way is they'll say that okay, I have a user Hari and I have his contact called Sai in the record. The moment he clicks on the save button, it should shoot an email to Sai. What is the feature you use now? This is what they'll say. Then you'll have multiple features at the bottom. You'll have validation rule, formula field, workflow, email alert, multiple things, and you have to choose the right option. Which means one is scenario based question and the other one is definition, straightforward definition. Definition, anyways, when I speak about the concept, I'll tell you what is the definition of that feature, so you don't have to worry about it. And then the question that I'm asking you every day when you're doing the revision and all, first 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it is all about the scenario based questions only, so that you can crack the other one also. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, anyone? I'll be there for a few more minutes. If you have any questions, we can talk or you can drop off. Okay, that's all from my end. We can connect tomorrow then. Okay, bye everyone.